They want to obliterate Christianity and then you. Now, people in spaces similar to mine and people who talk about similar things to me, all they say is, well, they're trying to destroy society, which is equivalent to what I said when I said you. And I don't think that's the right way of going about it. My viewpoint here is very unique. I have never seen anyone articulate it the way I'm about to articulate it. They don't just want to destroy society, they want to destroy Christianity first. Because the truth is, that's the real glue that holds things together. So you can't shift it off religion. You can't do that. Because then you're playing into their hand. There's many different angles they attack from. Buckle up. Get something to eat. Unless it's breakfast time in that case. Don't eat breakfast. Don't be a little cuck. We're going to be talking about all of these different things. This video should be on the longer side. Let's get into it. And the ultimate angle is going to be for last. The ultimate angle. Now, health. First angle here. They're trying to make you an unhealthy bastard. Okay? That's what they want for you. They want you to be some fat blob that can't do anything. Because when you're a fat blob, you're easy to control. And that control is going to come up multiple times in this video. Get used to it. Now, let's look at just food in general. Look at the food that's promoted. Let's look at school. You go to school, the youth. These are the young men and women of the next generation. As we know, every good uprising starts with men. Every downfall starts with men. These kids and food, strong body is a strong mind. What food is promoted to them? I went to school, I can tell you. Mexican pizza, those fried chicken burger thingies, the burgers. What else? Those chicken tenders. I think it was like orange chicken or whatever. All of this food is crap. All of it is crap. Even the milk is crap. It's pasteurized garbage. That's not even organic. All they feed you is crap. And this ties into something we're going to talk about later. There's a reason why it's like this. Aside from just, making you a docile little nerd. Because that's what they want. They want all the men to be docile little nerds. And it's easier to do that when everyone's filled up with garbage. There's a saying that goes, you are what you eat. And I always extrapolate, well, if you eat healthy foods, you're going to be a healthy person. If you eat unhealthy foods, you're going to be an unhealthy person. All the food they feed you is unhealthy. All the food they tell you to eat, 99% of it is unhealthy. They have all this dietary nonsense. They say, well, these foods are bad for you. Like, well, eggs are bad for you. Beef is bad for you. Meat in general is bad for you. All this other crap. Raw milk's bad for you. You're not even allowed to buy raw milk. It's illegal. It's illegal to buy raw milk. People can literally either be fined or go to jail for which one is for selling cow's milk. I mean, humans have been drinking cow's milk for literally thousands of years, I would wager. Yeah, they're saying, oh, well, that's illegal. But, you can get alcohol, you can get us all of the crap, but you can't get raw milk. God forbid you drink milk from a cow. That's awful. I mean, think about it. Does that really make sense? I mean, to all those people who think, well, the FDA, the health organizations, whatever the hell they are, these people actually want the best for me. Think about it. You can get alcohol, but you can't drink milk from a cow. Why? If they really care about your health, why? And they'll say, well, you can't eat eggs. You can't eat beef. The food being taken away is some of the most nutritious food. For example, beef. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit more about testosterone very soon, or male hormonal health in general. I don't like generalizing just to testosterone, because that's what everyone does. They say, well, they're destroying your testosterone. True, but it's a bit more than that. Right? That's a bit reductionist. But some of the best foods for your hormonal profile, some of the best foods for your growth are beef, eggs, milk. These are some of the best foods for you, yet they don't want you to eat it. Why? Because they want you to be a little scrawny or a fat nerd. And you know what? They would rather you eat McDonald's, Burger King, KFC, Wendy's, all this other crap, rather than actually eating healthy food that's going to make you grow. So don't listen to health organizations that say, hey, this food is, bad for you, you should eat this instead. Because the truth is they don't actually care. They don't give a damn. Again, you can go get a Wendy's burger that has probably killed more people than raw milk ever has, but you can't get raw milk. Why? Does that make any sense to you? Think about it logically. Now, let's look at the water. Now, this is where I have to be a bit careful. I have to be careful throughout this video in general. I can't be as unfiltered as I usually am when I speak about the subject on other platforms. But there's something that starts with an F. They add it to toothpaste. I'm sure most of you know what it is. You know, it supposedly makes your teeth stronger. This is garbage. Okay? They add it into the water, they add it to the toothpaste. And it has been shown, there's a government study that was forcibly released because they didn't want to release it, but then a court order forced them to release it, I believe. And it showed, yes, it lowers IQ in children or something like that. But it lowers IQ. That's the point. Why would they add it to water? Do you think the government really cares about how strong your teeth are? Do you think they really care that much? Oh, we're going to put this in the water. We're going to make their teeth stronger. Really? Do you really believe that? Do you actually sincerely believe that? Or do you think there's something nefarious going on? Especially considering your study showing that it does lower IQ. And especially considering the overarching context that will be explained in this video. Not convincing. I don't think they care that much. I think they have ulterior motives. I think that's the most obvious explanation. Now, what else is in the water? Well, there's atrazine. Turning the frickin' frogs gay. If you know, you know. But basically, there's a bunch... If you test water... Actually, more like this. Frogs were put in a tank full of tap water. And then, after a certain period of time... They were put in water that contained an amount of atrazine that's less than what's allowed in our tap water. And it's, the male frogs were able to lay female eggs afterwards, or something like that. They basically just pulled a Bruce Jenner, or whatever that dude's name is. That's what they did. Because they were in this tank of water with atrazine. And that was less than what's allowed in our water supplies. Now, granted, it kind of depends where you live. Some places almost have none. Some places have a lot. But you should not trust the tap water. You need to filter it. Or buy purified, well, not regular purified, an actual purified or spring water. Don't drink tap water. I think that's been gone over to death, but you really can't. Okay? So, now we're going to get on to testosterone, or male hormonal profiles in general. Right? Testosterone, I feel like, when I say testosterone, take it more so as me saying growth hormone, all of the hormones that make you a man, right? It's more than just testosterone. But these rates are dropping. Okay, they're going down. Now, why do they want this? Because it makes you docile. There was a study that showed men with less testosterone are less likely to say no. Men with more testosterone are less likely to say no. They're more disagreeable. They're actually more willing to stand their ground and say something. And if you want a revolution, if you want an uprising, then you need people who are going to stand on the ground and say, hey, we're fighting for this. If you have less testosterone, as the study showed, you're less willing to do that. Therefore, more docile, more willing to just accept whatever comes to you. Now, if you were someone that wanted to say, hey, we want to control these people, we don't want any uprisings to start, wouldn't it make sense to lower their testosterone? Because it would make it less likely for an uprising to occur, wouldn't it? Makes sense to me. Now, we have all these estrogens in our foods, like soy. I believe there was a catfish that was fed, and by catfish I mean a literal catfish, not not a fake dating profile, but an actual catfish. And it was fed soy, and it ended up much like the frog. It ended up pulling a Bruce Jenner because it was fed soy. Okay, so soy turned. You can't say that. I'll put it like this. There's a reason why the phrase soy boy exists. I'll put it like that, because I was going to say something else that was more blatant, but I feel like YouTube wouldn't like that too much. Now, of course, there's also, the underwear and all this other stuff, the clothing, the plastic. Oh yeah, BPA. I almost forgot about that. BPA. I think we all understand that BPA is bad for you, but there's more to it, because when they put BPA free, they end up using things like BPS and BPF. It's the same thing. In reality, it's just a different name. So they can say BPA free, but in reality it's BPS or BPF. and has the same exact downsides. So don't trust BPA free. Use glass. Okay, use glass, use something else, use stainless steel. Don't use plastic. Especially if you're going to use plastic, God forbid, don't heat it up. Now, as far as food, how it ties into the rest of the food, as I said earlier, they want to ban the foods, or they want to make the foods less accessible, because, you know, they're buying, Bill Gates, that chicken neck bastard, is buying up all the farmland, because, and he's the one funding all these vegan burgers that suck. I mean, if you eat vegan burgers, there's something wrong with you. I can't imagine someone like they get their burger bun, they get their tomatoes, they get their onions, they get their lettuce, you know, they build up together, and they're like, hey, I got this vegan Beyond Burger. I got my Bill Gates burger. And they put it on. Just, you would have to be mentally ill to do that. I mean, if you have done that before, I don't think this video is for you, because there has to be something wrong with you. You need Jesus. Okay, don't speak to me. I know my hair is long, but I'm not Jesus. Okay, you need Jesus, not me. I can't help you at that point if you actually eat one of those Beyond Burgers and enjoyed it. I'm like, oh wow, I like this more than regular burgers. God. Can't imagine. Anyways, it ties into food, this hormonal profile jacking, because, like I said, they want to ban the foods that are best for hormonal profile, and the foods they promote, the foods you see most on the commercials, the food you go outside, the food you have the most access to, because not only because of how convenient it is, but also because of something else I'm going to talk about later. This food is terrible for hormonal profile, and like I said, there's a reason why it's done. Okay, it's not just coincidental. There's a reason. And of course, they shun fitness, you know, all this fat shaming stuff. Like, hey, look, that's a fat person. That's a person that's really healthy. No, they aren't healthy. They're fat. Like, this is the biggest sign. This is one of the biggest signs of degradation in our society. People, fat dudes, walruses, are literally looked at and they're like, hey, you're healthy. It's like, no, they aren't. In fact, you know, that's literally dangerous to tell someone. If you tell people, you know, it's good to be fat, it's good to be fat. And guess what? A bunch of people are going to be fat. And yeah, I'm not going to go down there. I've already talked about what's the difference between buff and being fat. But when I say a fat dude, I'm sure you all understand what I'm talking about. A fat dude. And that's the average American. I think the average American is nearly obese. Seriously, look it up. I think it's something like that. It's almost either the average American or very close. Now, let's shift gears into education. So, school, as I said, is a complete scam in the way it is formulated. Now, as I said before, you can flip the system, like you could flip it on them and actually make school work out for you. But as far as how you're taught to apply school, it's a complete scam. Okay, you're taught to approach school like, okay, well, you get a bunch of good grades, you slave away at school, then you go to college, you party for a few years, you get some degree, because they don't really go over like, oh, this is the career you should pick and all this other stuff, because they pick like stuff like they have stuff like gender studies. They clearly do not care. Like, if they actually care, think about it. If they actually cared about your success, they actually cared about you having a good future, then why would something like gender studies be in colleges? Think about it. When you look at something, you have to think about it, because to me, this is so obvious. There's an incongruence here. Supposedly they care a lot about you, but they have gender studies, which if you get that degree, you're going to go absolutely nowhere. No one's going to care about you. No one's going to give a damn about you. You're going to be homeless on the side of the street. So you're going to be like, and someone's going to go up and say, hey, no, I need someone to work for me. What can you do for me? And you're like, I have a gender studies degree. You know, there's a photo of me at Burlington when I was like 12. I was wearing this stupid panda shirt and these white Jordan 1s with purple laces. I look like such a geek. If you look at my shorts on this channel, I don't really post shorts, but if you look at the shorts on this channel, you could see the transformation I had, because now I'm a G. But, you know, if someone went in there and saw me and then just had the insatiable urge to behead me and they did it, I wouldn't blame them. And that's exactly how I feel about this person that's homeless and has a gender studies degree. It's your fault. Why would you get that degree? Anyways, I have a degree. I have a PhD. What nerds. And that's part of the conditioning, actually, because they say, well, you don't have a PhD, therefore you're worse than me. Non sequitur. Because this is just, at the end of the day, it's just a piece of paper that says you went to college for a certain amount of years. It's not really an accomplishment. And again, you know, some people actually get a degree and do good things with it. They become a lawyer, they start a big law firm, they're a G. That's great. I'm not against that at all. In fact, I'm for that. But, like I said, school doesn't set you up for that. School sets you up to fail, to get into the rat race of being a 9-to-5 employee. Because that's what's most productive for society. I mean, think about it. Society needs burger flippers. If they really made the system to where no one would be a burger flipper, then there would be no burger flippers. There'd be basically almost no burger flippers. That society would collapse. In order for people to be at the top, there needs to be people at the bottom. In order for people to win, there needs to be people that lose. So, as far as how the system works, it's like, well, we have to make a bunch of losers. I mean, some of them are going to get to the top, but then the losers are going to serve the ones at the top. That's how it works. That's how they want it to be. That's why it's formulated the way it is. And even the info you're given at school is completely unreliable. I mean, look at, gotta be careful here. World War II. Unreliable information, perhaps. Not sure, but maybe the information about World War II is incomplete, maybe even some lies. I don't know. It would be crazy if they lied. Or slavery. It would be crazy if they lied about slavery. It'd be crazy if they lied about all this other stuff. And they don't even teach you, well, the history of religion, all this other stuff. They don't teach you this stuff. School history education is completely useless, and all the other education, like algebra, you know, again, you're the homeless person on the side of the street. You have this little sign that says, use your ruler as a sign. Please hire me. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. What are your skills? What can you do for me? I know the answer to yx equals 4b892. No one cares. No one cares. Not a single person, not a single soul on the earth cares if you know these algebraic equations. Because even if you want to be some professor at some, unless you want to be a regular school teacher, but who the hell wants to be that? If you want to be some professor that actually gets a decent salary at some prestigious school, you're going to need to know a lot more than just this algebraic. It's like a gap. It's like, you know, in order to live your life, you need to know a certain amount of math, which is good. You learn that type of math. That's good. And I would even say, you know, you should be good at math. You should be good at the important math. But then there's this gap where it's like, well, now I know this math. It's completely useless in my life, unless I take a very specific career path. In that case, learn it. But it's completely useless to me. And even if I wanted to get a good job teaching this, that's impossible because I have to be some, you know, school teacher. And in order to become an actual professor, I need to learn a lot more. So it's like this gap of uselessness. Unless, you know, maybe you could take the angle of starting your own academy and learning, teaching it. But, I mean, if that's your passion, then go ahead. By all means. If that's how you're going to get out of the rat race, then do it. I don't really see it, but, I mean, when I say I don't see it, I don't see it for myself. But someone else, I can see that working. So there you go, business idea. Go crazy. If you really love this high school algebra crap. Now, I'm going to stay on the topic of education. There is so much censorship, okay? Because for a very long time, in order to learn something, you had to know someone that knew how to do it, or you had to find some book. Now, the odds of either of this happening could be very low depending on where you live, so some things are literally impossible to learn. But now, we have the internet. And with the internet, we can learn literally anything we want, even if it's bad, quote unquote, depending on your definition of bad. Even if it's bad, we can learn it. And truthfully, this was a problem for the people running the world, because it's like, well, great. Now we have all these people making it out. Now everyone can learn how to make it out. Now it's harder to control everyone. So what they did was they turned the internet, they took as much control of the internet as possible. Now they've made the internet society's biggest asset and also society's biggest liability. Because a lot of things I'm going to talk about, it's facilitated by the internet. And internet inherently is not bad, but they use it for bad. You have to flip it on them. Okay? You have to give them the bird. Say, hey, I know you want me to use the internet for liabilities and ruin my life, but I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to use it for good. I'm going to make it out. You have to be one of those people. And one of the biggest tools they have is censorship. Because, like, for example, this video hopefully doesn't get censored, but on YouTube, rather, I have learned a lot of things, but there's a lot of things that I haven't been able to learn on YouTube because it's not allowed to be on YouTube. You search for it, you can't find it on YouTube. So, especially recently, a lot of the things I've learned come off BitChute and Rumble. Because these are not censorship platforms. You can actually find what you want to look for. And that's important because if they don't want you to see it, you should see it. That's a saying I have, because why would they... Because think about it, if someone was saying something really stupid, and of course context matters, right? But in general, if someone was saying something really stupid, then you just let them say it because like, oh, well, no one's going to believe that because it's stupid. But the second... in the government, they do that about a lot of things. There's a lot of things that are actually bad, but they don't do anything about. And even if they're popular, they don't do anything about it because they know, well, this doesn't really affect our mission. No one really cares. No one cares. But the second you start saying something inconvenient for them, then they step in. That's when they step in. They don't just step in when something bad is said. They step in when something inconvenient for them is said. So if the government steps in to stop something, you know, they put this blockade in front of you, like, hey, don't look behind this blockade. A lot of people go like, oh, okay. Turn around and leave. You gotta be like, take a look, see what's going on. That's very important to do. Oh. Right. Now, we're going to talk about family. They want to destroy the nuclear family. And this is where, partially where religion comes in. The nuclear family was assigned by God. In the beginning, God created man and woman. And the way they destroy the nuclear family is in a lot of different ways. We're going to talk of, there's divorce court, you know, the family system sucks for men. They make men more docile, which, of course, you know, with every good uprising begins with men, as I said earlier. But every good uprising of women follows men, because women were created as helpers. So, you know, with all these weak men, by extension, there's going to be low-quality women, which is what we see. We see a bunch of thoughts. Do I even really need to elaborate on that? I mean, I think that's self-evident. But one of the other ways to do it is saying, hey, men aren't men, women aren't women. They're actually the same, or they could switch sides. I mean, it's the dumbest thing. It's like a fairy tale, you know? And they don't really bother with older people, because older people know, like, well, what the hell are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense, both man and woman. But what they do is they attack the younger kids. The young kids, because they are easy to indoctrinate. And this is where, because this was really a step-by-step plan. Okay? Because early on, every dude had a good job. He was actually a strong man, and there was a feminine woman in the house, and they were able to raise their kid nicely, right? But then you get to the next generation, and then it's like, well, we're going to start weakening the men. And when you start weakening the men, you start making the women less submissive, less feminine, and start making them more masculine. So now you're blurring the gender roles. So this is why, and there's a reason for this specifically, but I can't say it on YouTube, unfortunately. That would definitely get the video banned, but they wanted to filter all the movies for a very long, after a certain time period, I forgot when, where it's like, okay, well, there's going to be a male, and this is a very reductionist way of putting it, but if there's going to be a male, he has to be aloof, he has to be dumb, and if there's a woman, she has to be dominant and strong, right? That's how it has to be. So the first stage of conditioning was like, okay, well, men are weak, women are strong. And then once that starts working, right, women are going to start going to work. Men are going to start being more aloof, be more dumb. They're going to be more interested in stupid things. And then, guess what? This leaves the kid wide open for the real conditioning, because this was really just a setup. Now the real conditioning is like, okay, well, men aren't men, women are women. You know, you can This is so crazy. I mean, some states are literally doing this. If your kid says, hey, like your kid's a boy, right? And he's like, well, I think I'm a woman. Surgery. Doesn't have to tell the parent. And then you could go to jail. I think it's California or some other state. You go to jail if you disagree with that. I mean, think about how dystopian that is. Think about how crazy that is. I mean, this kid hasn't even seen a pair of titties before. How do you know he doesn't like women? How do you know he... I mean, how do you think he knows... As AT put it, this kid hasn't even had a boner yet. He doesn't know he's a man. How are you supposed to make this determination? I mean, this kid is literally going to undergo life-altering surgery. And there's a bunch of case studies now of people who went through it when they were young, and now they're just talking about how terrible it was for them. They literally undergo the surgery where they chop off their thing so they can never reproduce. They're infertile. And they can't even drink a beer yet. They can't even drive a car. I mean, think about this. This is so crazy. If a doctor... Oh my God. If a doctor decides to chop off a kid's wiener, okay, and make a hole in there, fake hole, and give him a bunch of hormones so he grows boobs. I mean, most men now have boobs, but, it's because they're fat. But, actually, hormonal injections that cause, breast growth, like actual breast tissue. And... if a doctor does that and the kid just says, oh, well, I'm a girl. No, like this little kid. That's okay. But if the same doctor went to some kid and was like, hey, here's a shot of whiskey. That doctor goes to jail. The one that gave the kid a shot of whiskey. But the one who, did all this other crap. Oh, gender-affirming surgery. This is what's being promoted by society. I want you to think about this. If you're someone who's like, oh, well, this sounds like a conspiracy theory. This can't be true. What are you talking about? Bro, think about the example I just gave you. That's literally society. That's literally the truth. That's literally how it works. Do you think the people who put the system in place actually care about the well-being of its citizens? Do you think they really care? Think about that logically. Think about the situation I just outlined to you. That is one of the craziest situations you can even think of. I mean, for a very long time, they would give kids, In fact, my family, they're from another country. They tell me stories. When I was sick, my dad would give me, tequila. Or some other alcohol. They lived in, that's part of my family that came from Nicaragua. But I know for sure in Mexico, when you're sick, it's even once a kid's tequila. Here. Now, we could talk about, well, that's bad or whatever. Sure, whatever, it's bad. I'm not going to make an argument for either side, but that's how it was for a very long time. And now it's okay, well, you're going to go to jail if you do that. It's okay, whatever. But you don't go to jail if you chop off their wiener. It's whoa, this doesn't make any sense. Look for incongruences. This is a clear incongruence. It doesn't make any sense. And to tie back to the point, they want to indoctrinate children. They want to tell these children all these fairy tales, all this crap. And when they have their way with that, then they truly have control because they're going to have full control of the next generation of men. In fact, a lot of the men aren't even going to be men anymore. They completely get rid of men. Right? Because now they want, that's what they want to do. They want to completely get rid of men. They want to make it so, well, there's no difference between men and women. You could switch between two. They're getting rid of all the differences. They're making it uniform. Both men and women are the same. This is why it's very important that I made a video about how Christian men should dress. It's very important that you actually distinctly make yourself a man in all aspects, more than just dressing, but in the way you think, the way you act, the way you talk, all these other things. You need to be distinctly masculine because you need to counteract this crap that they're doing to us. It's awful. And they're selling the scam to women. Well, women, the real happiness is not making a big family, having all these babies. No. Real happiness is getting this degree from the scam school and having that be your life. Then, I've seen a lot of people, a lot of women. They get to their older age. It's I really regret what I did. I wish I had kids. I wish I had a good husband. I wish all these other things because that's our natural biological desire. And what they want to do is they want to override that desire, but the truth is it can't be overridden. At a certain point, you're going to realize your biological desire, which we're going to talk about more later. In fact, we're going to switch topics now, because I feel like I've exhausted that one. Video games. I know. Oh, I want my video games. Don't take away my video games. It's a replacement of real-life success. I've talked about this at length, but your biological desire, they hijack these biological desires. You want real-life success. Yeah, that's what you want. That's what your brain wants. I want status, I want resource, I want those other stuff. And the way the hijack is like, okay, well, you can get all this stuff, but it's digital. It's not real. But you still get the same you still get the same feeling. In fact, you get more dopamine from it because it's instant gratification. You can get this instantly. Meanwhile, to get resources, a long time ago, you actually had to work for them. If you wanted to get gold, I don't know, you have to slaughter a bunch of animals, trade it, make something really valuable, mine for it, all this other stuff. Like, that's how you would get gold. But now, to get that gold, those resources, go in a video game. Well, in Minecraft, I have 64 diamonds. And, your brain thinks, wow, I have these resources. But the truth is, it's like, your conscious thinks it's actually the replacement, but your subconscious understands it's not. And that's why a lot of people are depressed now. Because they have these Minecraft diamonds, and consciously like, well, this is what I want. These are resources. But subconsciously, they kind of understand that it's not real. They understand that it's not as good as the real thing. And that's why a lot of people are depressed. It's not... I can't say that. It's definitely get the video taken down. Because I've already talked about, the thing that... I already talked about that, and my video got striked. I don't want to get striked again. But... and this is why you should join my Discord, check out my website, sign up my email list. I can actually talk about what I want there, fully, candidly, no censorship at all. But it's also a distraction. Video games are a distraction because what they do with video games and other things, which I'll talk about later, they make it this big distraction. So it's like, whoa, look, this new video game came out. Pal World came out. This new video game came out. This video game, you have to grind a lot to make it in the video game. And then while that's happening, they do something terrible over here. But you're looking at the video games like, oh, my video game. And you don't want to look over here. When you're doing this, they're doing something here, but you aren't looking. That's how it is. Throw out your damn controller and actually look at the world. Because this is how they get you. This is how they get you. They do things by the side of you, behind you, and you aren't paying attention. You're too focused on the video games, which don't matter. They hijack your biological systems. Video games are not real. It's not the real world. And I realize, they really have a grip on the youth, because as me and my friend were talking about, if you'd start talking to a kid about, or a younger person, or even a young man about video games and how useless they are, they always get so defensive, like, don't take away my video games. Don't take away my video games. God. But they really have them a stronghold, because it's like consciously, it's like the brainwashing. It's like, well, it's like, imagine, it's the brainwashing, because like I said, it hijacks your biological desires. So when you say, like, imagine if you went like a very long time ago and you tried taking someone's gold, you tried taking some of their food, you tried taking their resources, they'll get very defensive. They're like, hey, no. And they'll start fighting for it, because there's brainwashing to make you think about video games the same way you think about those resources. Because video games, like, well, you're getting resources, right? They treat it the same way. It's like, don't take away my video games. Those are my resources. But like I said, subconsciously, really back far in their head, they understand it's not real. Now, shifting a bit similarly, explicit content. It's a replacement of the real-life family that subconsciously people understand it's not a really replacement, which is why they're depressed. But instant gratification. Consciously like, well, I enjoy this. I actually like it. So they do it. when you're addicted to this stuff, your desire and even your ability to go out and see women and actually speak to them and actually desire them goes down the tubes. Because if you think about kings of certain lands, they had access, they could literally sleep with whoever they wanted. And they've probably seen, and I'm going to make a judgment about you watching this video. Maybe wrong, I would wager that's correct, but a lot of kings in the world that could literally sleep with whichever woman they wanted. You know, pick, oh, I want her. Take her. You have probably seen more naked women than that king. And that's a problem. Okay, because, and the truth is, thankfully, I'm not a fearmonger, I'm not a doomer. Thankfully, if you're able to, stop, it's actually very easy to start reversing the effects. It's not like, well, I've been addicted for 8 years, so now, it's going to take 8 years to get rid of it. No. A month. Give it a month after not doing it, and your brain's going to be, for the most part, reset. It's going to be noticeably reset, and I personally experienced this. I used to have this issue. I made a video about it. Your attraction to women gets all messed up, and this is where it gets really bad, because I think there was actually a study I saw yesterday where it's like, well, people who watch the explicit content are more likely to be bi. Literally, and the reason why is very simple. It's an instant dopamine fix. You get more dopamine from watching the stuff than actually being with a real woman. And you get this instant amount of dopamine. And the way dopamine works is it's a sensitivity thing, tolerance thing. So you can, the first time, like completely reset everything. You can get a still picture of a girl that's not even that hot. But no, she kind of scandalous position. You can get off to that. And it's like, well, after a while, that doesn't work. It's like, okay, well, now you need a naked picture. Well, now then just a regular chick doesn't work. Now you need a hot chick. And that one doesn't work. It's like, okay, well, now I need video. And it just keeps going up and up. And at a certain point, it's going to start, well, this is how people get into, like, because you wonder, like, how can someone be into, how do I say without human waste? I think you know what I mean by that. How can people be into this type of stuff? It's so weird. How can a man be into this? How can a woman be into that? Or this doesn't affect women as much, but women are starting to actually fall into this trap now, but it's mostly men. How can a man like that? How can a man like this? The reason why is because they need to get the fix. Regular content doesn't work anymore for them. They need something more extreme. That's how people get these interests, because they were addicted in the first place, and then they needed something more. Now they're onto this, and then they're going to get this even more weird stuff in the future. So, to me, that's one of the biggest motivations to quit, because you keep going down this road, you lose control, okay? And it always starts with one little thing. It's like, because this could be the road for some people. They start with this regular innocent thing, quote-unquote innocent, not innocent, but relatively speaking, quote-unquote innocent. Then you get all the way down this line. That's how most people are. At the start, like, I would never watch human waste put on another human. That would be disgusting. But give it like a few years, and it goes like that. They're gonna be into it. That's how it works. And of course, there's also distraction, the same way video games are. I'm not gonna rehash that point. You just take the distraction point in my video games and apply it here. That's how it works. And next, we're going to talk about social media. So social media is designed to get you addicted. I think that's very obvious, because remember, think about the money, think about the desire. What do social media platforms want for you? They want you on the platform for as long as possible. This is how they make money. It's obvious to me. So guess what? They're going to design it so you stay on it forever. If they could keep you on YouTube, if they could keep you on Instagram, if they could keep you on Facebook, if they keep you on TikTok for 24 hours a day, they would do it, because that would make them a ton of money. That's their goal. So they go to the littlest details. There was a video I was watching for someone, and they were talking about, like, they even exploit the colors. Like when you like something, the heart turns a certain red. They fine tune that color. They specifically pick that color. They didn't just go into the color wheel and just pick a random color of red that looked good. No. They A and B tested. They studied to find the color of red for the like to keep you on the platform. They do that for every little thing. They want to keep you on it for as long as possible. So don't fall into the trap. Don't fall into them. This is literally a poison. Don't fall into the trap. And if you're going to use the social media platforms, which You're running businesses, running this type of stuff. You need to. You don't have a choice. You need to be very wary. You need to get off the algorithms. You need to make yourself not subject to the algorithms. And of course, there's a distraction like everything else I talked about. And the three things I just talked about specifically rob you of your happiness, because these are vices. These are distractions from the real world. The truth is, people use these type of things for many different reasons, but one of the main reasons is because they don't actually enjoy their own lives. And they want to get some kind of, they want to put a facade on. They want to put some smoke and mirrors that looks nice. And you can't have true happiness with vices. And I say this as someone who used to be addicted to video games, used to be addicted to explicit content, used to be addicted to social media. You cannot have true happiness with these vices. You need to quit them. And if you're someone who's like, well, I'm happy and I use all this stuff, you don't know. Because I would have said that too. But the second you get rid of them, you realize there'll be such a feeling of tranquility that will overcome you. And it's really a beautiful thing. Now, money, the ultimate barrier. Now, this is where a lot of Christians shoot themselves in the foot because, they're like, well, I don't want money. That's greedy. That's this. That's that. Money's bad or whatever. Money plays into all of this. If you want to be a Christian and you want to avoid all these things, which you should, you need money. Well, for the most part, for most of these, you need money. Because, for example, take health. This is something I was going to talk about. This is the thing that ties in. All these foods that are terrible for you are the cheapest foods. You go to McDonald's and get a burger for like what? $1.50? $2? Maybe even $1. I don't even know. I haven't been to McDonald's in ages. No, you get all of this stuff for cheap. That's convenient. And guess what? If you don't have money, you don't have a choice. If you want to eat food and you don't want to starve, you need to eat this crap. You don't have a choice. You don't have a choice. And that's the position they want you in. They want you in a position where you can't choose. And to be in a position where you can't choose means you don't have money. That's how they get you in that position. This is why there's inflation. This is why they took us off the gold standard. This is why it's all of the crap. They want you enslaved to debt. They want you enslaved to money. So this is why making money is very important. This is why I always talk about it. Okay? And it's also a distraction because when you're so focused, when you don't have a system to really make money, this is why entrepreneurship to me is very important. When you're not focused on money, when you're living paycheck to paycheck, when you're worrying about money all the time, because you haven't, built up something, a system where you can actually make a good amount of money, live your life freely, right? This is also a distraction. The same way video games are a distraction, the same way explicit content is a distraction, the same way social media is a distraction. When you're focused on money, when you're living paycheck to paycheck, when you're worrying about the next bill and all this other stuff, you can't focus on what really matters in the world. So you need to actually become an entrepreneur and actually make your own money. Okay? Especially if you're a Christian, because as I'm about to go now, this is the real ultimate barrier. I just said the money's ultimate barrier. It's a barrier. It's an ultimate barrier. But the real ultimate barrier is religion. They want to get rid of religion because, logically speaking, on atheism, without religion, on a secular worldview, life is meaningless. Why should you care about life on atheism? There's no higher power. You're just going to die. Nothing happens after you die. The world's going to end at some point. It's a very nihilistic view. And I know a lot of atheists will look at that and will hear that and say, hey, I think my life's meaningful. I think this, I think that. And I will say, yes, some atheists actually believe that life is meaningful, but let's actually look at the wide scope. Let's actually look at how the world works. The world is. Since religion has declined, depression has gone up. People, ending, blood flowing through them. I'll put it like that. I think you know what I mean. That's gone up significantly. Happiness has gone down. All this stuff has coincided with the loss of religion, the loss of Christianity. So, in effect, what I just said is true. On atheism, life is meaningless. And people realize that. And what a break. The reason why a lot of atheists, a lot of these people, like a lot of these degenerates, a lot of these people marching in feminist rallies, all this other stuff, most of the people are atheists. Because life is so meaningless, even if you told them, hey, there's a way of making it out, there's a way of actually living a good life, they wouldn't care. Because their worldview, the basis is life is meaningless, whether they realize it or not. And in effect, like I said, this is how it is. This is how most people actually think based on their actions. Life is meaningless on atheism, so when you start telling them how to make money, when you start telling them how to, how video games work, all this other stuff, they don't care. Because there's no higher power, there's no reason to better yourself. Now, I know everything I just said sounds really doom or gloom, right? And, well, actually, hold on, really quickly. I want to go over something. The future plan is that you'll rent everything, like the World Economic Forum video. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. That's their plan for you. They want you to live in these little pods, these little neighborhoods. It's like communism. You get all your... You don't really own anything. Freedom's completely gone. All this other stuff. That's not the life you want to live. I guarantee it. In effect, you don't want to live that life, truly. And I don't... so now, I'll go back to the solution. I don't want this to be a doom or gloom video. I don't want it to be like, oh no, society's doing this, they're doing this. What am I going to do? This is bad, this is terrible, all this other stuff. Truthfully, I think with education and people actually caring, this can be reversed quite easily. I'm not someone here saying, well, this can only be reversed if you buy my course. It's not one of those videos. But the solution is an uprising. And every uprising starts with education, and then with education comes action, because action is like a car. Okay? And education's like gas. Okay, your goal is to move the car. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can move the car. You can tow it, then you need gas to do that. Or you can push it, which you don't need gas for. But the most efficient way is to put gas in the car, then drive it. Put your education in, and then take the action. That's how it's supposed to work. That's it. That's all that needs to be done. That's the solution here. Now, the problem is most people aren't willing to do that. Most people are lazy. And there's a bunch of censorship. There's a bunch of crap being put out there. You need to be crafty. You need to actually look at what's true and what's not true. But the ultimate solution really is just being willing. That's all it is. One takeaway from this video you can have is, if you're willing to actually put the work in, if you're willing to actually learn, you can make it out. You can actually make something good for yourself, and you can actually make a difference in the world. You just have to be willing. That's all it is. So, be willing. That's what I'll put up. Now, if you want to learn more, if you want to get access to uncensored stuff, follow me on Twitter, Instagram. My Discord link's in the description. Starting to get that active. Website link in the description. Give me your email. I'm going to send you good emails on my newsletter. So all that being said, thank you for watching. This video was 48 minutes. This might be my longest video. Subscribe for more. Gotta add all the call to actions at the end of the video. But I think this is an important video for me to make, and I'm happy I made it.